Today we are going to talk about emptiness. Emptiness is one of the vast subjects, especially in Buddhism. Hinduism talks about the opposite, Purana, the complete. Both in a way mean the same thing. So today we will discuss about this. Thus he regards it as empty of whatever is not there. Whatever remains he discerns as present. There is this. And so this is his entry into emptiness, accords with actuality. He is undistorted in meaning and pure. Then sunyata, this is Buddhist idea of emptiness. We will see what Tanisaro Bhikkhu talks about this sunyata. The Buddhist sutras often use the word great void to explain the significance of sunyata. In general, we understand the great void as something that contains absolutely nothing. However, from a Buddhist perspective, the nature of the great void implies something which does not obstruct other things, in which all matters perform their own functions. Materials are form, which by their nature imply obstruction. The special characteristic of the great void is non-obstruction. The great void, therefore, does not serve as an obstacle to them. Since the great void exhibits no obstructive tendencies, it serves as the foundation for matter to function. In other words, if there was no great void, nor characteristic of non-obstruction, it would be impossible for the material world to exist and function. So this is about great void, and then we will see what J.Krishnamurti says about emptiness. Emptiness is a mode of perception, a way of looking at experience. It adds nothing to and takes away from the raw data of physical and mental events. You look at events in the mind and the senses with no thought of whatever there is anything lying behind them. This mode is called emptiness because it is empty of presuppositions we usually add to experience to make sense of it. The stories and the world views and we fashion to explain who we are and the world we live in. Although these stories and views have their uses, the Buddha found that some of the more abstract questions they raise of our true identity and reality of the world outside pull attention away from a direct experience of how events influence one another in the immediate present. Thus, they get in the way when we try to understand and solve the problems of suffering. Then let us see what J. Krishnamurti again says. For complete mutation in consciousness to take place, you must deny analysis and search and no longer be under any influence, which is immensely difficult. The mind, seeing what is false, has put the false aside completely, not knowing what is true. If you already know what is true, then you are merely exchanging what you consider is false for what you imagine is true. There is no renunciation if you know what you are going to get in return. There is only renunciation when you drop something not knowing what is going to happen. The state of negation is completely necessary. Please follow this carefully, because if you have gone so far, you will see that in that state of negation you discover what is true, because negation is the emptying of consciousness of the known. After all, consciousness is based on knowledge, on experience, on racial inheritance, on memory, on the things one has experienced. Experiences are always of the past, operating on the present, being modified by the present, and continuing into the future. All that is consciousness, the vast torus of centuries. It has its usefulness in mechanical living only. It would be absurd to deny all the scientific knowledge acquired through the long past. But to bring about a mutation in consciousness, a revolution in this whole structure, there must be complete emptiness. And that emptiness is possible only when there is a discovery, the actual seeing of what is false. Then you will see. If you have gone so far, that emptiness itself brings about a complete revolution in consciousness. It has taken place. Emptiness comes as a sunset comes of an evening. That emptiness of the mind cannot be produced. The mind cannot be made empty, cannot be put together to be empty. That emptiness comes as the sunset comes of the evening, full of beauty, enchantment, and richness. That comes naturally as the blossoming of a flower, when there is no fear, when there is no escapes, when there is no boredom, when there is no seeking. And that is the most important of all. There must be no seeking, because you cannot find the everlasting. That which is beyond time you cannot search out. It may come out to you, but you cannot go to it, because your minds are too shallow, petty, and empty, full of ambition, fears, ugliness, distortion. Therefore mind must be empty itself. Not because it wants that, because when you want that, you have a motive, and the moment you have a motive, you have lost the energy. Therefore it is only the mind that is completely empty, that is in a state of inaction, that inaction is action, and it is only such a mind that is being passionate. It is only such a mind that can live with beauty and not get used to beauty. The beauty of a tree, the beauty of a face, the beauty of an eye, of a smile, of the ugly, dirty road, squalor, the death, the poverty. It is only the passionate mind that can live with it and not get distorted. It is only such a mind that is completely empty, that is in a state of meditation. That is by J.Krishnamurti. Then Osho on nothingness. Only nothingness can be infinite. Somethingness is bound to be finite. Only out of nothingness is an infinite expanse of life, existence possible, not out of somethingness. God is not somebody. He is nobody, or more correctly, nobodiness. God is not something. He is nothing, or even more correctly, nothingness. He is creative void. Never for a single moment think that nothingness is a negative state, an absence. No, nothingness is simply nothingness. Things disappear, only the ultimate substance remains. Forms disappear, only the formless remains. Definitions disappear, the undefined remains. The awakening of a Buddha is total. In that total awakening, there is luminous awareness, surrounded by a positive nothingness. It is not empty, it is overfull. Things have disappeared, and what had remained is inexpressible. We try to express it as blissfulness, as ecstasy, as eternal joy, but there are faraway echoes in the real thing. These are just faraway echoes in the real thing. Eckhart Tolle, what he says about emptiness. Identification with thoughts and the emotions that go with those thoughts creates a false mind-made sense of self. Conditioned by past, the little me and its story, this false self is never happy or fulfilled for long. Its normal state is one of unease, fear, insufficiency, and non-fulfillment. It says it looks for happiness, and yet it continuously creates conflict and unhappiness. In fact, it needs conflict and the enemies to sustain the sense of separateness that ensures its continued survival. Look at all the conflict between tribes, nations, and religions. They need their enemies because they provide the sense of separateness on which their collective egoic identity depends. The false self lives mainly through memory and anticipation. Past and future are its main preoccupation. The present moment, at best, is means to an end, a stepping stone to the future, because the future promises fulfillment. The future promises salvation in one form or another. The only problem is the future never comes. Life is always now. Whatever happens, whatever you experience, feel, think, do, it's always now. It's all there is. And if you continuously miss the now, resist it, dislike it, try to get away from it, reduce it to a means to an end, then you miss the essence of your life, and you are stuck in a dream world of images, concepts, labels, interpretations, judgments, the conditioned content of your mind that you take to be yourself, and so you are disconnected from the fullness of life, that is suchness of the moment. When you are out of alignment with what is, you are out of alignment with life. So with this, we'll end this episode. Stay with me. Subscribe to my channel. I have given the references in the end. Thank you.